Okay, Aaron, you want to get rocking and rolling?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody?
Hello, hello, hello. All right,
All
so
right.
Aaron, real quick, can you give us a quick introduction as to who you are, your sales experience, and basically your entire journey up until now?
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Aaron Latman. I started my company at 15 years old, detailing cars just out of my parents drove me around with my business partner. And we basically just took every single dime and reinvested it until we ended up getting a shop. And then now we moved into our second location and we've got two shops now. And so we grew the company from zero to about $1 million in a year and a half. So now we're a multi-million dollar company, and the reason behind all of the success is the sales. 100%.
By the
The
way, just a quick
process
question,
from
just out of curiosity, who you guys are all
Right.
from the Orbis X group, and who did not know that Aaron had a shop and was killing it?
I didn't know he had two shops. That's pretty cool.
we've
Yeah,
got we've got one clean room, so we just do PPF and tint and vinyl wraps there, and then the other shop is for coatings and detailing and undercoatings and stuff like that.
love it. Okay, cool, man. Now let's go into the nitty-gritty. So, Aaron, real quick, can you talk about why sales is important and why sales was able to help you go from mobile detailing to two shops doing high ticket ceramic coatings and PPF?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that your clients have a lot of options, and so if they choose you, you're getting the business, and you can expand on everything in terms of growing your company. But the minute that your client end up, or I should say, leads end up going somewhere else,
Yeah.
there goes all of your growth opportunity, right? It takes money to make money, and you can go over all these different you can go over all these different word cases like scared money doesn't make like all that stuff, but it really just boils down to you don't need to put a bunch of money in if you can sell the with the money that you do put in. And a lot of people feel as though do you ever feel like, just think of it in your head, but like, do you ever feel like when you are in your business, like you just you just want to sell like one more person, or that one person that you didn't sell, like you definitely could have closed him? Or does anybody ever feel that way? Just think in your head, or like those types of things is what we're trying to solve here. Okay. Now I'm looking at like the survey answers, and most people are offering coatings here. It looks like most people in this group are offering coatings. The one way to grow the company is with coatings, and then branching out into paint protection film. It's higher ticket services with the same margins, if not bigger margins, than what a detail can provide.
Oh yeah,
The
way better
biggest
margins and for the same amount of time,
that's
roughly.
that's the thing. If you spend 8 hours on a detail, or you spend 8 hours paint correcting and coating a car, and you end up making more money, what's the point of detailing a car? It always goes back to when I tell my clients, if you have a 5-year ceramic coating and a 7-year ceramic coating and a 9-year ceramic coating, all three of them have 2 steps of paint correction, and they all take 16 hours, approximately 2 business days. When you have a 5-year, 7-year, and 9-year, and you charge 1,300, 1,500, and 1,700. If you just charged and had one package and you charged the same 1,700, when you do the package for 1,300, you're losing $400 by literally doing nothing. It's your same amount of time, your same amount of paint correction, the same sized vehicle. So why are you selling coatings with 3 different tiers? So these are all these different questions that come up. When someone else who has done it already can answer them for you, you're going to propel a lot faster because there's no trial and error. The trial and error has already been done for you.
Yeah, 100%. And Aaron, another thing I want to highlight is when it comes to sales, it's a different ballgame when you're tying in the sales with any sort of advertising, whether it's in-person events, Facebook, Instagram, Google, whatever the case is. It's a different ballgame to what you might be used to already, which is relying on word of mouth, referrals, right? These warmer interactions, right? You already have that introduction. That person is already familiar with your business. Maybe you coded their coworkers or their families or a friend's car. So you kind of have that warm introduction versus sales with advertising. You're basically trying to turn that stranger into a customer. And sales, and what we'll go into a lot more detail here, is going to show you exactly how to do that at a higher rate. So I think that's one thing I want to definitely highlight is the fact that sales is super important when it comes to selling people who might not be familiar with your business or ceramic coatings in general. That's really where sales shines. And more importantly, that's where you guys are going to see the biggest returns is basically running an advertisement, getting people to submit their information, and then following up with them, right? Because the number of people who are going to be referred to you is going to be relatively small compared to the number of people you're going to reach with advertising. And this could be any advertising. This isn't specific to a specific platform, but just once you get your name out there to a larger group of people, it becomes a little bit harder to sell them. Aaron, would you say that's the case?
Absolutely. When
Cool.
you're when you're advertising coatings and you have a coating come in from a coworker or like family member's coworker or a friend or something, they already have built a rapport with you. They've already trusted in you. And every single objection seems like an embarrassment on their end. So there's no handling of, well, yeah, well, maybe let me speak to my wife. You know the wife if it's your friend, right? Like, so these are the different things where you don't have all of that as much, I should say, when you have these warmer leads like word of mouth and referrals. The minute you step into the advertising realm and you're really, really, really wanting to expand your clientele, that's when the sales comes into play. Okay.
Aaron, please tell us, how
Yeah.
do you not get any objections or very
Yeah,
little?
that's a good. Yeah, very, 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 very minimum. I mean, we're talking like I sold yesterday. I sold a little over $15,000 in coatings and PPF. I closed every single person that I spoke to. I mean, there was not even one person that gave me an objection. That's
How, Aaron?
why.
How?
That's
Tell
why
us
you're
how.
here. My coatings
Yeah.
start at 2,500 and then they go up to 3,000. And some packages yesterday were about 5,000. So that's with PPF and all that. But my coatings, I won't sell a coating lower than 2,000 and my average ticket is 2,500. Yeah, we're not selling $500 coatings here. That obviously yeah.
Yes.
Yes, everybody's a referral. I love it. I love it. Okay. So you're probably wondering how. But first, let's go over what a good sales process looks like. If we can get a good sales process down from the lead starts, okay, at point A, and then it finishes at point Z, okay? What about B through Y? Where are we from A? You start out, but where's B, C, D, E, F, G? And I'm not going to sing the alphabet song, okay? What does a good sales process look like? Salvador, can you walk us through the general outline of a good sales process? Notice how we're not saying pitch, but we say sales process. And
Yeah,
then,
because
and then, yeah, and then I'll explain
so
it more in depth.
with a sales process, with any sales process, we're going to keep it broad to begin with, and then we'll zoom in. But I think it's good to look at it from a high level. A good sales process has different components. In each component, you can tailor specific to your business. So the first and most important one, when you call the lead or you text them, the first and most important thing is going to be building rapport. Aaron, how do you build rapport with somebody you're following up with?
Yeah. So you start off your conversation building rapport, asking about their vehicle. Instead of asking just the year, make, and model, dig a little bit deeper. Well, what's the color? Okay.
What's the trim level?
What trim level? And when you're doing that, you actually want to go on Google, search up their car, 2023, GMC Sierra Denali package black, and you want to talk to them about their vehicle. Because if you say, hey, this is Johnny from, detailing, we're the best detailers.com. Thanks for reaching out for a ceramic coating. What's the year, make, and model of your vehicle? If well, do you have a minute on the phone? Okay, they got a minute on the phone. They feel like they can't hang up on me, right? No, that's not no. Okay, what's the year, make, and model of your vehicle? Tell them your make, and model. Okay, great. So what I want to start with, and then you kind of explain what a coating. No, when you actually build rapport with the client and you're actually explaining to them, this is, the trim level. Well, I've actually never seen a 2024 truck with the blackout chrome package. Like, that's brand new to me, like, because I think they just like updated all the grill packages on all the new vehicles. I think that's right, guys,
Yeah.
right? They're like black gray thing now instead of like chrome gray. But anyways, the thing with building rapport is that you want to start that build of trust. And if you can have your client trust you, then they're going to buy from you every single time. They need to
Yeah.
trust you. They need to trust your business. They need to trust your sales pitch. They need to trust your work.
And the best way to do that is to simply build that rapport in the beginning. Basically, okay, so the way it works with advertising is that person's going to naturally have their guard up, right? They're going to naturally have their guard up. They might be talking to you in other shops. So they're naturally going to have their guard up. They might already have some information that they've collected. But the most important thing here is we just want to come off as basically, we want to make sure that we're setting the right expectations in the beginning in order for them to lower that guard.
When someone has their guard up, they're gonna give you a hard time. They're
Yes.
going to object you, because if someone's guard is up, they feel that either they're being pressured, or they feel that this might not be the right fit, or they feel like they need permission from their spouse, and then you get into all of these objections. So if you can take your client from having their guard up here and lowering it to down here, what could that do for your business? Could you increase maybe 5 more coatings a week? Could you maybe increase 5 more coatings a month, 10 more a week, 10 more a month?
Retailer growth and that.
Does that make sense to everybody? I think that the best way to do this is, if it doesn't make sense, shout it out, and then I want to explain it more. But if it does make sense, feel free to leave it there. We can definitely use this meeting chat a lot, but I want to make sure that when I'm explaining something to you guys, that you understand where the psychology is behind it, and that we're not just kind of like pulling this out from a hat. Like, well, if you build rapport, then you're going to sell more. No, there's actually a psychology behind it, and that people buy from who they trust. We'll get to that in the Q&A part of this.
Aaron, Marco asks a great question. What does this look like in practice? And can you give us an example of just building
Yes.
that rapport?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I do to build rapport is when the client is over the phone, is I'll ask them about their vehicle and why they bought it. I really appreciate you reaching out, Johnny, but why did you buy the vehicle in the first place? Most of your clients do not call you asking for a coating, and then they just don't care about their car. Can we all agree on that? Maybe they're
Yes.
not a Lamborghini or a Porsche or a Ferrari, but they're going to call you, and they at least are inquiring. They're at least curious. Okay. They're not like, I cannot stand this 2023 C8. I need this protected. I can't stand. Hello? No, maybe they don't always buy from you, but they're curious. Okay. Now, once you ask them where they got their car from, talk to them and have a real conversation. There's no build of rapport that's in a script. Okay. To have a conversation with someone is just people skills. Okay. Being able to talk to them about their new vehicle. One thing that I do, this is a hack for when they're in person. I will actually jump up. If, like, I had a C8 Z06 in here recently. Client came in for the consultation. Obviously, you know, we're a little bit bigger of an establishment, but I was not at the front to greet him. One of my receptionists were. And she was like, "Hi, how can I help you? I'm here to see Aaron for a consultation." Okay, great. And I came out and I like basically kind of jumped out of my chair. I ran to the door and I'm like, "What's going on?" Shook his hand. I was like, "We gotta see this CO6. I've never seen one in person." And that's building rapport. The minute that I saw it, I was literally, no joke, jaw completely dropped. I mean, just I'm not like at a midlife crisis. I don't need to buy a Corvette right now, but like the like if I saw a Cybertruck right now, like I'd be off this meeting. Okay, like that's like my dream. I want to see a Cybertruck. I drive a Tesla. I want to see one in person. But at that time, it was a Z06. Like we do sometimes 5 Corvettes a week, but I've never seen a Z06. The minute I saw it, I was like, wow, can you give me a ride? Immediately, the client said, hop right in. We jumped in, and he took me for the absolute craziest ride of my life. Oh my gosh. And I rode in his Z06. We got out of the car. I said, okay, well, Hussein, we can be best friends. So the minute that I jumped out of the car, I was like, it's so great to meet you. Thanks for taking me on that ride. And we kind of started that sales journey from there. And he left with, oh gosh, he was like a little over 8,000, I believe. So like
Insane.
it's just that simple. Another client came in recently with he was already sold, but he came in with a Alfa Romeo quadrifolio. Is that how you say it? Something like that. A really high up trim model. And I asked him if I could jump in and take a ride because I'd never seen a really nice Alfa like that. And he let me drive it. He was like, jump in the driver's seat. So I drove his car around and it was awesome. It had 47 or 48 miles on it. So like those are the types of building rapport. Okay. We're not talking about, hey, how's your day going, Salvador? Did you have anything good for breakfast yet? What did you watch the Bears game on Sunday? Did you have a good New Year's? That's not building rapport in this industry. Maybe that's building rapport if you're trying to make a new friend or get a spouse, but we're talking building rapport for them to start spending thousands of dollars with us. And the best way to do that is to actually get them to feel really comfortable.
100%. Love it.
All right.
Before we go to the next step in the sales process, does anybody have any questions about what Aaron just said? Is it pretty clear or, does anybody want any more examples? If so, please just type in the chat. And then, yeah, if no questions, then we'll go ahead and move to the next step. So the first one is just building rapport, right? Really making that connection, getting them to feel more comfortable and open up. Super important because the building rapport part really ties back into when you're getting ready for the close. And we'll get there here in a little bit. But the next step in the sales process, Aaron, is explaining your process. How do you do it and why is it important?
Yeah, something that's not, yeah, that's a great question. Before we dive
Yes.
into the explaining and
Mason asked a great
well,
question.
yeah, if they have a more basic vehicle, we could ask questions for days, right? I mean, we can go over. I could object your question for days too. So there's a bunch of different scenarios. Something that I do when someone has a more basic vehicle or something that's not necessarily new. If it's not new and it's junk, there's not necessarily like a ton of stuff you can do, like jumping in their vehicle or why did you get this? If it's a newer vehicle, basic new vehicle, you can talk about kind of like what vehicle they had before. If it's a basic vehicle, but if there's anything cool to talk about, you can talk about the engine. If it's just a 4-cylinder, why didn't they go for the 6-cylinder upgrade or stuff like that? If you're good, with cars and stuff of that nature with the engines, you can dive into some of those other relationship building tactics. Very, very simple stuff like, did you have a good New Year's and did you go partying? But then take that New Year's and build on it. Don't just, okay, what did you have for breakfast this morning? No. Okay, well, so I just had Chipotle for lunch. I would be talking about my Chipotle because I just actually ate it a different way. I flipped it upside down and took the bottom off the top. And like you guys are listening to me right now, and it's kind of stupid, but like I'm building rapport with all you guys. I'm talking to you about how I just ate my Chipotle and how it was different. There's always something to talk about. But you don't always have to jump in their car. It doesn't always work. I don't do it with every client. Some clients don't want me to jump in their car, but you'll get those clients that do, and just to be able to learn them and understand them is very, very important. I have some clients sometimes when their wives are sick or their husbands are sick or their, stuff is going on at home, and I kind of just lean into that a little bit. Like, you can kind of dig into their personal life. If they explain that a little bit, they're going to believe you a lot more. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
The question I want to ask everybody: how much % of a sales process or a sales pitch should be explaining the benefits of a coating? What is the percentage? Put it all in there. Do you think it's 50%? You should be like half rapport and closing and pricing, and then the other half should be like the benefits of a coating and the process. Like, how much should you talk about the wash and decon? If you've got 20 minutes, should you spend 10 minutes talking about that? Mine is about 50%. Okay, 50%. What about 75%? Like, I mean, we really, really want the clients to know what we're doing. We want to educate the clients before we try and take money from them. Is it 75%? Is it 25%? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think I
20
would
to
say
50%.
50% as well.
Okay. 50%. Okay. Yeah, you can put that in the chat, Salvador.
Done.
Boom.
Okay, so
50%.
first
Okay.
one was building rapport. Now we're moving on to explaining your process. Second
Okay.
step in the sales process.
Okay. Your sales process benefits and what you're actually doing. Okay. 50% application process, 25 long-term. Okay. The answer now, I just want to say this. I learned this when I went to a seminar. I am speaking to the general public here. I am talking to a crowd of over 40 people. You don't have to take any of my advice. You don't have to listen to a word I say. You're obviously here because you're interested or need some help with your business. But what I'm saying does not have to apply to you. You don't have to do it. I want to explain this the way that I do it and the way that I've become successful and what I've learned over these past few years of growing this business very rapidly. Listen to what you want, take what you want, don't take what you don't. Okay. The answer that I follow is crazy, is 10%. You do not want to explain the process and what you're doing to their vehicle and what they're getting besides the close more than 10%. Now, 10% of 20 minutes is 2 minutes. 10% of 30 minutes is 3 minutes. If you spend an hour on the phone with them, that's 10 minutes. So you have to build out, okay, how long you plan to talk to each client to then see how long you should be talking about it. Now, I'm not saying take a stop clock, okay, or a stopwatch to how long you're explaining the process. But I will completely go from the front of my shop to the back of my shop in under 5 minutes. Completely from the front of my shop to the back of my shop with a tour, building rapport, and explaining the entire process in under 5 minutes.
Nice.
Okay. Your clients are not buying because of everything that you're doing. Okay. They like your service, they like your product. Okay. But they're not buying they're buying because of you. They're buying because they trust you, they trust your work, they trust everything that you stand for. They believe in the same values as you do. Are we picking up what I'm putting down here? They're buying because of you.
Yes.
Because I can guarantee you right now, I don't tip somebody based on the company as a whole. I tip based on the person giving me service. And
Right.
in this sector of this industry, this business, we're not buying because we really like that they offer this coating and they're going to wash the rims 3 more times than the other shop. And yes, people care about that. Okay. Yes, they do. I've got clients all over that care about that. They really, really care about that. But the most amount of sales you're going to get from a wide, spectrum is going to be from people that want to hear about 10, maybe 20 at max % of your sales pitch about the process. And if you spend 2-3 minutes talking about the process and then they believe everything you said and they trust you and they care about you, then you're going to close the deal. The benefits of coatings, we could go all over on this exact topic, why you should choose me, why you should choose our company, what we do differently. Okay. These are all things that you're going to do more towards the close, but the actual process, like First, we start off with a wash and decontamination. Then we go into our iron decontamination to remove iron particles, brake dust, road grime. Then we'll do a clay bar treatment. Then we do this and then that. And then we'll detail brush every emblem. And then we'll tape off everything that can't get paint correct. You can go as much as you want into that. 10% is the max. That I
Yeah.
do.
And I think one thing that Aaron is, or didn't mention there, is that he's explaining it in a way that they can easily understand. So he's not going really in depth on like, hey, these are the, this is our entire paint correction process. He's saying this is what a paint correction does. This is how it'll make your vehicle look good. He's not going into the details on like, okay, first we cut and polish, then we add a compound. It's that stuff they're not going to pay attention to. But if you can just give them a high level overview of exactly each step that you're going to do to their vehicle in a way that they can understand, it'll just click with them. It'll be something where
Absolutely.
it's like, okay, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they're on the same page. So I think that's one thing that can really shorten that percentage from 50%, right? Spending half of the phone call explaining everything you're going to do to just 10%, where you're not using a whole lot of jargon and they're understanding exactly what you're going to do to their vehicle. So they're seeing the value. You're building that value there.
Everything you just said, Sal, just makes more and more sense in my head as you even say it. Like, if you are explaining somebody the process of a coating and they actually understand what you're explaining to them, then they're going to
Yes.
trust you more because they know what you're doing. But if you use all this industry jargon about a multi-stage paint correction and then we're gonna do first a heavy cut with a wool pad on a rotary, and then knock it all down, and then we're gonna slam. I started using this pad that's, dude, this pad literally can one step of GM black paint with no micro swirls. They don't care. They don't care about any of that.
They do
Okay,
not care. No.
they don't care.
And that's too much information. It's like information overload. They're not going to be able to retain the majority of that information. So if you can keep it short, sweet, and simple, it's going to click better in their head. They're just going to be like, okay, I understand what that is in the process and why it's needed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay,
Cool.
now, after you explain the entire benefit of the coating, what you want to do is you want to start to build the urgency. Okay. Does anybody know what building urgency means?
Go ahead and type it in the chat.
Do you want to
I
explain
have a
that?
guess. I have a guess.
Okay, guess.
Would it be trying to get the person to take action, right? Especially right now in wintertime, get their car coated now versus waiting until springtime.
There we go.
Am I in the right ballpark there?
Home run.
Love it.
Yes. Okay. That's a great example, Matt. Yeah, you've got one opening left for next week. You want the customer to buy ASAP. Now, you want to do this in a way that doesn't make it seem like you're just making it very urgent for them to book right now, but that you're kind of pulling it into the conversation.
Yeah.
Something that I like to do when I'm talking about the final step of coatings is that we get a certain shipment of coatings every X day. And we can only do so many coatings in a week based on labor, based on how many square feet our shop is. And in their back of their mind, they're like, oh gosh, so they really need to get my car in. And that's creating urgency. Okay.
Yeah.
I really got to get my car in. If I don't get my car in now, when am I gonna get my car in? Because like they're booked out a month right now. They could get me in next week with the one spot. If I'm booked out 3 months though, what if I wait till June? I want it in June, but if I wait till May, if I forget, and then they're going all over the head. Okay. Is sales logical or emotional? What that means is sales, you're pushing numbers to them, you're pushing facts, you're pushing what you're going to be doing to their vehicle, you're going to handle objection. Is that sales, or is sales emotional? Making them feel like they need to book with you, making them feel like they have to get in right away, making them feel as though they're getting the product that you would put on your own car. Because if I sell a coating and I would not put it on my own car, there's no emotion there. It's all logical.
Yes. And the person will be able to pick up on that.
Yes.
Easily.
The answer, sales is emotional. Sales is all, yes, we do deposits every service no matter what. Sales is emotional. If you can emotionally take a toll on what they're thinking, you will sell them. You will sell them. It's done. It's that simple. You will sell them. Okay. So creating urgency emotionally. Okay. When you tell somebody, there's no pressure. Just get back to me when you have a minute. Because when there's no pressure, we'll just work on another car. And when we're finished with that, if you give me an answer, we'll start working on yours again. Well, hold on. Hold on, Sal. You have my car in your shop right now, but you're not working on it? I want I want you to work on my car. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let me add that on, okay? Or something along those lines. If they have they have emotional attachment to their car, to their money, they have emotional attachment to everything. If you can take that emotion and you can just rip it to shreds, you're going to sell them. The more they feel emotional about the purchase, they will do it.
Aaron, can you give
Okay,
me an example of what that would look like in a sales call?
absolutely. So this morning, this is not a sales call. The client was already sold. However, we were adding $1,000 of wet sanding to his vehicle. I told the client everything that was going on. I explained the entire process of why we needed to do it. I told him I actually opposited my creating urgency. I said, it doesn't need to be done right now. It's fine. When I coat the car, the coating is going to magnify what your paint nibs look like. And if we don't wet sand it, then you're just going to be back here in 3 months. So I reversed the urgency because instead of it being urgent for him to get it done right now, he doesn't want to waste more time in the future bringing it back. Okay. What he said was, you know what, is this a decision that I need to make right this second? Like, are you at the point in the process where you couldn't move forward, or could I wait a little bit? This is what I said. I totally understand where you're coming from. I would feel the same way too. This is not an emergency, and there's no pressure here. We are at the point to where we could not continue working on your vehicle and could not wet sand it. However, I don't want you to feel pressured in making this decision. We will just go ahead and work on one of our other clients' cars as we're really, really busy. We'll catch up on some of that. And then whenever you reach out to me, if it's in a week or so and you're ready, just call me and then we'll start on the vehicle again. Okay. Well, why don't you just add it on? Okay, that's not a problem, Bob. I will go ahead and get started on the wet sanding as soon as within the next hour. And I hung up the phone and it got $1,000. Like,
Aaron, why did that work so well?
a lot of things went into that, why it works so well. There's a lot of things. But what we're talking about on this call, and we can go so deep into the psychology of sales, it's crazy. But the reason why this worked is because I created an opposite of urgency. I told him he doesn't want to come back, that we don't have to work on his vehicle. And I made him emotionally feel as though he needed to get the work done now. I got into his emotional senses and I made him feel like he needed to get it done now.
And you created that feeling by painting the picture of what would happen in the future. So you're
Correct.
painting that picture because he's probably not even thinking about that. He's probably not even thinking about, okay, if I don't do it now, then I'll have to come back in 3 months, 6 months, whatever the case is.
Or you never have to come back and your truck's gonna look like shit, and you just paid me $3,000 for a coating that now looks like shit.
Exactly. But
I
he wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell him, or he wouldn't have thought about it until after the fact. So great point there, Aaron.
now yeah, that's 100% correct. Now you're probably wondering, at the beginning of the call, how do I not get so many objections? Yes, Amber, that's 100% correct. It's called tonality, and that's a whole completely different call. It's a completely
Yes.
different call.
Yes.
It's called tonality.
That's a
Okay.
little bit advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's dive into our next segment if we can, Salvador, and then we'll kind of finish up with the sales process after
Yes.
the
So
urgency. Yeah.
yeah, so far we have building rapport as a first step, explaining the process as a second step, and then we kind of tie that into the third step, which is explaining the benefits. So now we're going to venture off into how Aaron is basically able to not get very little to no objections throughout his sales process. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah. This is what we've all been waiting for. Grab your popcorn and let's get ready. Okay. So there's two types of selling. There's proactive selling and there is reactive selling. All of you guys reactive sell. I proactive sell.
So you guys are reacting to the objections. They're throwing them at you, and then you're answering those objections. Aaron, what does it look like when you're preventing or being proactive with those objections?
It's a great question, Salvador. I'm glad you asked. Proactively selling is handling the objections as part of your conversation before the client or the lead can ever even object.
So you're basically answering what would become an objection throughout your sales process.
Yes.
Boom. Love it.
Before the lead, let me repeat this. Let me repeat this. Before the lead can ever object, you already cut the objection. Let's do the number one objection on this list right now. Okay. The absolute number one objection. I need to talk to my wife. That's what you guys said was the number one objection. If I can just talk to the wife, all my problems will be solved. Well, let me ask you this. When you talk to your wife, what if she says no? That is all reactive selling. That's what you guys are doing. Well, what if she says no? Okay, then let's handle the next objection. Then we won't do it. Well, why won't you do it? My product. None of that. Throw that out the window. Proactively sell. Explain that you have the spouse or the wife or you have some higher up in your life before you even give the client, the lead, the prospect, whatever you want to call them, the price. Before you even give them the price, explain how even you have to talk to the wife. One way I do this is just one way, okay? We can get into a lot of different ways to proactively sell, but one way that I get into this is very simple. I give people two prices. If they throw me that objection before I even give them the price, I'll say, yeah, we'll explain the price. We'll go ahead and we'll get you on the schedule and we'll take a deposit. That's it. And I move on. If a minute later they go, well, yeah, once I get the price, definitely I'd love to schedule with you, but I'm going to talk to my wife and then, I'll see what's a good fit for us and all that and blah, blah, blah. So I get down to the close part of the sale. Okay. If you get to the close part of the sale and you go, I've got two prices for you. I've got I got to ask the wife price and I've got the right now price. I've not had a single person say, I got to ask the wife. They're so embarrassed. They're so embarrassed. The comments, Richard says, if you say even I have to talk to the wife, aren't you putting that in their head that they need to? That's a great question. Okay. The answer is that when you proactively do it, you're not saying just even I have to talk to the wife. You actually structure it a little bit differently. When I'm looking at a coating, the first thing that I do, okay, is I do this. Okay. I, get the car washed, I get it iron decon, blah, 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 blah. And as I'm walking back to my office or as I'm on the phone, I just say, yeah. And you know what? The last client, he said he had to talk to the wife and he didn't even have a wife. And it just gets it in their head. It's kind of a funny, but it gets it in their head of like, yeah, yeah. If I say that I have to talk to my wife, Aaron's probably going to think he's lying or that I'm lying. Aaron's going to think I'm lying. Or if I say I have to talk to the wife, I'm just going to look stupid because the last guy just used that same objection. And then they start emotionally going through their head of all these different reasons why they shouldn't say, I need to speak to the wife. So then they use another objection. So then I just proactively use that. Okay. Something along the lines of the competitors. Let's just say that one. Price is too expensive or competitors, stuff like that. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I got a client that just walked up front. I'll be right back and Sal, you can take it from here and then we'll get to the proactively selling.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So just to double click on what Aaron said there about the let me talk with my wife one. So he's basically weaving that into the conversation before the person even gets the opportunity to ask it. So that is one of the ways that you could be proactive is just weaving it into the conversation. I'm like, hey, the previous guy I talked to said he needed to talk with his wife, but he didn't even have a wife. Just mentioning that if you think it will come up is a great way to even prevent that, objection to pop up. And then the cool thing is we'll go into price. Price. So Jonathan, this will tie into what you just asked. You know, if you've gotten other quotes from other shops, how do you even prevent that objection from popping up? And more importantly, how can you come off as the right choice? Meaning, even if you are more expensive, how can we give them reasons for them to spend a little bit more, get more service, right? Better quality service, and go with you. Before we jump into that, does anybody have any questions about the let me talk with my wife? Or any questions about the, getting quotes from other shops? That way, great discussion so far in the chat here. Talk with my wife, put that in the head. Yeah. So when another shop has prices that are widely different, how do you respectfully challenge them?
Can we get what are the prices? Is your price 500 and theirs is 2,500? Or is your price
Yes.
2,500 and is their price 1,500? Is their price 1,000 when yours is 2,000? I mean, $500 ish off. Okay, well, you need to figure out what sets you apart from them. If it's your coding, then great. If it's your customer service, then great. The proactive way that I do this is you can get it done for $500 cheaper somewhere else. That's not a problem. I understand that you can get it done $500 lower elsewhere. Like you can go buy a car and you can go travel another 20 minutes. Like, is this convenient for you? Like, the reason why I do what I do and why clients pay me $500 more than the average competitor in this area is very simple. It's because of our quality of work. It's that simple. When you get your car back and we finish the job, you can take your fingers and stick it in the rim and lick them. And if there's any sort of dirt, you get 100% money back free.
Love it.
There you go. Hussein
So-
has nationwide third-party warranty coverage listed on Carfax. That's worth $500 to me. I would want a warranty listed on my Carfax report, because if I'm paying
Yeah.
you $2,000, I'm paying you $3,000. It does not. There's no point. The other way that you can go about it is kind of that like kind of, I don't want to say it, but kind of like a pimp mentality. Like, I don't really know the other shops pricing in the area. Even if you do, I don't really know them. I don't really care. I can tell you right now that I have absolutely no clue what any shops in my area charge. I have absolutely zero. I'm not bullshitting any of you guys. I have absolutely zero clue. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I charge $2,500. If you want my quality of work, then you're going to pay $2,500. It's that simple.
Yeah. And one thing about the quality of work, the best way to showcase that is through what you're putting out there on your social media channels, whether it's Google My Business, Facebook, Instagram, on your website. You want to showcase your quality of work, and I would highly recommend doing it through video. Just, doing a vehicle walk around, showcasing a finished vehicle and what you did to that vehicle. That is probably the number one best way to showcase that quality of work. Because now, if you have them on the phone and they're like, yeah, somebody can do it for $500 cheaper, you can say, well, let's make sure we're comparing apples to apples. What product, are they using? What kind of information can you get from them? But more importantly, if you have those videos, I would put them on a Google Drive or on your YouTube channel to where somebody can see them publicly. You can send them that link and say, hey, just to show you, this is our process. This is our quality of work. This is what you can expect when you come into our shop. That way, you're really setting yourself apart from that guy who is down the street, might be mobile, is charging less, right? You're setting yourself up for success by being proactive and showcasing your quality of work through videos. You can also do it through photos, but videos, I would just do a video where you can just explain your entire process, what the vehicle went through, and really showcase that quality of work.
Absolutely. If you handle that before you even get to price, then you're going to be completely fine. The reason behind that, okay, is because if you have them asking you, well, I know someone that can do it $500 cheaper. They weren't emotionally wound up. You obviously, clearly, they don't want your product. They don't believe in what you, they don't believe in what you're saying, they don't trust you. I mean, there's so many different things that are going on here when it comes to like everything. I mean, literally, like I'm getting so flabbergasted at all these objections, because like you can handle all of these objections just in your speaking to the client on the phone, you don't have to worry about any of this. Like, I don't have my guys, like, they'll say like, well, I could just bring it to a competitor, or I could just bring it to you, and I know the quality of work I'm getting. I know it's you, Aaron. Okay, I saw your video on social media of that walk around. Like, so there's all these different options, and when you go into that mindset of like, well, they're not going to object to me because I've already taken the objections before they could even tell them to me, and I've taken these and just, like, what's the word, like, almost thrown them out in front of them.
Yeah.
They're never going to say any of it. It's the most
100.
embarrassing thing ever if you've proactively handled what they could have said about it costs too much, or that they need to think about it, or they need to talk to the wife or the competitors, like all of that.
Yeah. And just to double click on that, if you do have somebody who is saying, I have two other quotes that are significantly cheaper, one of the best ways to build that value that we were just talking about is to, one, make sure they're comparing the same products, right? There could be a difference in products, whether or not it includes paint correction, and then other things outside of the service itself, like your reputation, how many years you've been in business, the number of Google reviews that you have. Use those things to your advantage to build up that credibility, that social proof, to where they're looking at it and they're like, wow, this guy, he's worked with hundreds of similar vehicles to mine. So I know what I can expect with quality of service and outcomes. So you're giving them a reason to spend $500 more versus them spending $500 less and risking some of that quality of work.
Once we coat the vehicle, it's going to have this mirror-like shine like you've never seen before. Like, I mean, literally, you are going to be absolutely blown away. And the reason behind that it is our quality of work, most importantly, but also, the warranty that you actually get behind the coating once we apply it on the vehicle is crazy. It's a, third party warranty, blah, 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 blah. Instead of it being an objection, okay, instead of it being an objection of like, well, your product costs too much, instead of that objection, okay, it's more so along the lines of, okay, it's more along the lines of, well, that's worth it. Yeah, that's definitely worth it. And you kind of
Yeah.
just casually bring it into the conversation.
Yeah. Aaron, can you give me a quick example of what that would look like in practice? Let's say somebody says, hey man, I got two quotes here. One of them is $500 less. The other one is $700 less. Why should I go with you?
Well, that's a question that I don't like to answer because obviously you didn't do something right in the first part for them to
Yeah,
even say that.
correct. So we're assuming that, you're reactively selling them, but then they're shopping for quotes and now they're like, hey, why are you more expensive than the two other guys I talked with?
Yeah. I mean, if they're asking you that question, you just did something wrong.
Yes. Does that make sense why that's kind of like,
Why are they
you know,
even, after you've given them your entire pitch, like if you've already given them your entire pitch and you've already explained everything that needs to be explained, and you've proactively, sold your way through the entire thing, and you've had the proper tonalities, and you have all the sales training, they're not going to say, well, why do they do 400 hours less? Because if they say, why are they doing 400 hours less? The opposite to that is, wow, that company is doing that 400 hours more.
yes.
Did everybody find this pretty helpful? Just going through the initial part of the sales process and going through proactively selling versus reactive selling. And I just want to make sure that I can help you guys as much as possible. Absolutely. I'll give you one more example of proactive selling. There's one word in proactive selling that a lot of people don't know about. The word is storytelling. So when you are giving a prospect all of their different options and going through, everything that you can do to their car and all of that, whether that's on the phone, in person, to be able to storytell with them is going to make them trust you. They're going to make them emotionally believe in what you're saying. And they're also going to be proactively sold. Okay. What I mean by that is a story, for example, would be, yes, you know what, John? I actually had a client the other day that said, like, he didn't even want his car coded until he realized all of these different benefits. For those that have trouble with car washes, okay, you don't want your client to go through the car wash, but oh my gosh, they just what's the
They're
point in the
insistent.
coding if I can't
Yeah.
go through the car wash? They're super like hesitant on that. So the way that we do that is through storytelling. So yeah, I actually had a client about 2 months ago. He had the same car as you. It was like a green one though, not a blue one. And he actually went through the car wash, and then he didn't realize that the car in front of him was a milk car. You could have never fucking believed it. But the milk car actually so funny. The milk car had rocks on it from like the furnace that like blew up, and the client actually the rocks from the mill dust scratched his entire car up, and he had just gotten it coated with us maybe a month before, and he called me literally crying, and he was like, Aaron, like what do I do? I just spent $3,000 and then I went through the car wash. I said, well, did I tell you to go through the car wash? No, you told me to go through touchless. Okay, well then we got to solve that. So like like have you ever even had like have you ever even seen them actually clean the brushes on the car wash? Like have you have you ever even like they've never even cleaned the brushes on those things. So you know how dirty they are, and you want to take your freshly coated car that you're spending a lot of money to get done. You actually want to get it ran through the what do I call it? This like meat grinder, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So mark machine.
So yeah. So like giving them stories from previous clients or somebody you just had spoken to or a story that you read online, stuff like that is going to proactively sell. Amber has a really great question that we haven't gotten to touch on as much just yet here. And that's like, how would you tailor the proactive selling objection that you say in your sales pitch or sales story?
Yes.
In that process, like, how do you know which one? Because you don't want to just say like, you don't want to be like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually talked to the wife, but they don't even have a wife, like all those different things.
Yeah.
You're going to get their dominant buying motive, their DBM. You're going to get why they want the coding in the building rapport stage.
Yes,
If
that's
they,
why that
okay,
building rapport stage is so important because you want to see exactly why are they reaching out to you? What is the main reason? What is the actual reason that they're reaching out? Most people aren't just reaching out to get quotes and numbers. There's a pain point tied to that behind it. Whether it's the road salt from the winter months, whether it's, I just don't want my vehicle's paint to oxidize due to sun fade. So you
yeah,
want to get that dominant buying motive in the beginning, and then you can tie that into the close by, using an example of a proactive objection to where you're getting in front of it. Aaron, what would be a good example of that? Giving that
um,
dominant buying motive.
yeah, dominant buying motives that you really, really want the car to be easy to clean. So when you have a client that comes in and they say like their dominant buying motives that they really, really want the vehicle to stay clean, what you're proactively doing throughout the entire sales pitch is explaining how the coding makes it super easy to clean. You don't really care about the client's actual like coding protection. Like they don't care about the protection. They don't care that they don't have to wash the vehicle as much or that it's going to resist from bug guts and all that. But if they have a vehicle that's super easy to clean, then they're going to get that coating no matter what. It's all based on why they want the coating or why they want PPF or why they want it to get tinted or detailed. If you ask somebody that, hey, why do you want your car detailed? They don't say because they want it cleaner. Okay. Well, why do you want it? Well, I want it to smell good. Okay. So that right there is the biggest thing when it comes to proactively selling. Now, to furthermore answer that question, Amber, the if if you cut the wrong objection and then they give you a different objection, the way that you actually structure your script is so that there's no objections at all. Now, you're not going to just flat out say, yeah, I had to actually speak to my husband because, that's something like you don't say that, but to structure it in, if their dominant buying motive is on cleaning their car and you talk to them about cleaning their car, and then they go, well, yeah, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money, then you need to cut that objection that their cost, that the price is probably going to be a little bit different. When you're building a rapport, ask them, have you gotten any other quotes? That's going to cut the prices more
Yes.
expensive than their competitors nearby. You'll slice that one. But you're not going to say okay, Salvador, before I start the sales pitch with you, do you need to speak to your wife at the end?
Yeah.
You don't say that, and you don't want to just start cutting objections with proactive selling either. But to learn the business of proactive selling, it's a completely different mindset change, like mindset change, excuse me, and mindset shift. If you've been reactively selling for the last 20 years in your business, then it's not going to be a complete flick of the light switch overnight. But I've been proactively selling for the last 3 years, so it's ingrained in my brain. Like I'm not going to go and say like, well, I need to speak to the wife. I don't even know what I would say to that. Like,
Yeah.
what happens if the wife says no? Well, then she says no, and we move on. Okay, so the end. Bye. Like, no, I'm gonna
Yeah.
basically say I've got two prices for you. I've got the with the wife price and without the wife price. And they always choose without the wife because it's the same thing with the husband or without the husband. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, you're bringing in your car, right? Like, let them feel it emotionally. Salvador, is that your Ferrari or is that your rich friend's Ferrari? Because if it's your Ferrari, then you're the one that's making the decisions on it, or am I completely backwards?
Yeah. 100%.
If you're not
Um,
making the decisions on it, then why are you here?
yeah.
And then you kind of go from there.
Yeah. So if we can
Um,
summarize the proactive selling in one sentence, Aaron, for me, it would be build rapport in the very beginning. Try to get that dominant buying motive. Why are they calling you? Exactly what is the main reason or the main benefit that they're looking for their vehicle? And then you use that, you explain your process, you explain the benefits, and then towards the close, you prevent those objections by, using analogies, stories, whatever the case is, for them to, get that out of the way before they even get the chance to ask.
absolutely. Now,
So, Aaron, real quick, I want to do a quick role play. We have a good friend of ours, Patrice from Canada, on the
I
call.
I actually wanted to save that for the soft close here, saying that it's part of the paid group. I wanted to put all role plays actually in for paid members only.
Let's just give them what
Uh,
that role play would look like. And
okay,
then I
a
think in
little
the future,
taste.
yeah, a little future. I mean, guys, there's many scenarios that we can come up with. If we can just give you one that can be super helpful to tie all of this together, that'd be super. I think you guys would find that super useful. So let's get Patrice and Aaron. Um, let's say Patrice is the lead calling Aaron, and let's get rocking and rolling. What would that look like?
Yeah, and let's stop at like right before like the price. Like I just want to kind of
Yep,
explain the
building
rapport
rapport.
and
Yeah.
kind of the process. Yeah.
Okay, so Patrice, you're calling Aaron. Aaron answers, and then you go from there.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I'm calling Aaron right now.
Yes.
So
Ring,
Aaron,
ring, ring, ring.
We shine your car. How can I help you?
hi, I'm looking to get my car detailed. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and exactly what your prices are?
Yeah, I can absolutely get you those prices. That's not a problem at all. So regarding your vehicle getting detailed, what's the year, make, and model?
It's a 2023 Dodge Ram.
Okay, it's a 2023 Dodge Ram. And what's the color on that Ram? Is
It's
it that
black.
magnetic gray or it's the black one?
Yeah.
Everybody hates black. Everybody hates black. I get it. Always swirls up too quickly. Okay. Yeah, so you know, Patrice.
By the way, what are swirls?
Yeah. So swirl marks are when you're actually, improperly washing the paint and it causes like those little lines that you see when you're looking at your brand new truck in the sun.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, I'm not really sure, Patrice, if I can even help you quite yet. May I ask, in regards to the detail, what exactly are you looking at to have done?
I'm just looking to have my truck, have the paint be shiny, Nothing
Okay.
too fancy, but I'd like to, for it to look good. It's brand new. I'd like to have it protected. So
Gotcha. Okay, so you're looking, let me make sure I understood you. So, Patrice, you're looking to have your vehicle really shiny, that you don't really understand much of what goes on with a black Ram truck, but it's new and you want to keep it shiny. Is that what I'm getting at?
yes.
Okay, now regarding the detail, have you ever heard of what we call a coating, a ceramic coating?
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you've ever heard of what we call our ceramic coating. It's like a kind of like a wax on steroids. Have you ever heard of a wax for your vehicle?
I kind of waxed my car in the past. What is the ceramic coating exactly?
Yeah, so a ceramic coating makes it so that you don't have to wax your vehicle actually ever again.
Okay.
So, so do you like waxing your vehicle?
Yeah, I kind of do, but what's the difference between the wax and ceramic
Absolutely,
coating?
yeah. So the difference is that it's going to last longer and have a lot more protective capabilities and make the vehicle really, really shiny. So that every single time that you look at the vehicle, Patrice, it's going to be shiny. Like that show car black look every single time.
Yeah, that sounds expensive. What's the price on that?
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely get you the price. I do want to explain the process, if you don't mind. Do you have a few moments here? I'd like to explain
Sure, go
actually,
ahead.
yeah, what actually we do here because I know that for a vehicle like that, I mean, you just paid a lot of money for that now. I mean, 80,000, 90,000.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a cheap vehicle, so that's a great question. And I can definitely get you the price. So regarding you want to make the vehicle super shiny, we do our entire process and we kind of skip through that whole process, but blah blah blah. We'll go over the iron decon and the clay bar treatment, and then we'll do our oxidation buff. We'll tape off the car, put on some Icon rock clear, and then your coating is now your coating's warranted for 10 full years. So what that basically means is that you never actually have to wax the vehicle for 10 full years. Does that sound like something that would interest you?
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so regarding that process, what questions do you have for me?
Do you get rid of all the swirls, like the scratches on the truck that are already there, or how does
Yeah,
that work?
for sure. So at the beginning of the call, you explained you didn't really know what swirls were. So would you say that you notice those swirls in the truck now?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. It's very common for black vehicles. And so what we do is in our process, we actually do remove all of them, guaranteed 98% to give it that like mirror like this, just like kind of like candy like glossy reflection.
Okay. And
Absolutely.
and what else do you do to my vehicle? Is it where do you put the ceramic coating on? Do you put it like all over the place, or where exactly do you install it?
Yeah, so we can put your coating on every single piece of your vehicle, front to back, top to bottom, roof to road coverage. So I can coat your paint, I can coat your trims, your headlights, taillights, front grille, black plastics, mirrors, chrome, emblems. It makes them like, oh my gosh, Patrice, it makes them like super, super shiny. And then also the rims we can coat as well as the tires and the windows as well. It's some crazy good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so what does your schedule look like right now?
Oh gosh, that's like, see, pricing is so easy, Patricia, but scheduling is like the most difficult part of my job on a day-to-day basis. Like I had a client come in yesterday. He loved, like we charge between 2 and 3,000 for our coding. So he loved our price and he actually put a deposit down before I could even pick a date. And then the minute I picked a date for him, so funny, Patrice. I didn't have any spots for like a month and a half. And so I just stuck him at the end of February and like called it a day. So let me check my schedule really quick and let me see what I've got here.
How long do you keep the vehicle for?
I'm looking at the calendar here. So yeah, so we keep the vehicles for about 4 days from start to finish.
Okay.
So I don't have anything the first part of January. If do you think you could leave it with me for 5 days? I might be able to actually squeeze you in. I've got one last spot, drop off on the 26th of January. And you could probably get it back probably either the 31st or February 1. I can kind of squeeze it in there.
And you said the price is between $2,000 to $3,000?
Yeah, so we would pick a package that works best for you, and then we'd go from there.
So is that your highest package, or is that just like an entry package, or?
I don't
Well-
want to dive into that cost stuff because I want to teach it before I dive into it. If that's okay, is that
Yeah.
okay? Okay.
And by the way, I want to highlight the fact that that pause in between where Patrice asked what his schedule looked like, Aaron's actually doing that on his sales calls. Like he's taking that time to pause, to look at his schedule. And that part's very important because if you can kind of, I can't think of a better word, but if you can kind of like downplay the cost and focus more so on the scheduling, that's where you create that urgency.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Are you gonna buy a coating from me now, Patrice?
I don't think I'll be able to drive it to fly my truck over to you though.
Aaron, I'll buy from you, but let me talk to my wife first.
Okay. When
Yeah,
you
sure. Get her
when
on the phone right now, Sal. We'll deal with that right
when
now.
you get a wife, you can talk to her. That's what I
Love
say.
it. Love it. All right, cool. Yeah,
I
did
hope
you
this
guys
was
find that
helpful for
useful?
everybody.
Yeah. Aaron, if you're open to it, let's open it up to open floor Q&A and we can just rapid fire for like the next 10 minutes to wrap things up.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do some open fire Q&A. Amber, to answer that question, no, I don't, because I'll sell someone a $3,000 coating on their leased vehicle.
You ever ask a customer how long they will have their vehicle for sometimes?
I
Okay,
have a
yeah.
monthly brush car wash pass that is convenient and affordable. I'm interested in a coating, but don't want to give up my membership and have to hand wash. Okay, Matt, that's a great one. Do you want to service that client or not? If you do, well, I don't know. Do you want to or do you not want to even? Because you're not going to get some with that objection. That's an objection that's not proactively sold. That's just someone's like stubborn. So
Yeah.
if you want to get them out of that, don't. That's how they are.
That's another great point. So them like really insisting on keeping that car wash pass could be a signal that that might not be the best customer for you, right? If you're gonna take the time to paint correct a car, apply the coating, set those expectations up front, but they're still gonna take their car to a car wash, through a car wash, even though you told them, hey, just wash it by hand, you'll be fine. If they're still insisting on keeping that car wash membership, they're probably not going to be the best fit for you. Because then what's
And
going to
if
happen is they're going to take it to the car wash. They're going to call you back 3 weeks later saying, hey, did you even install the ceramic coating? It's not beating up, those swirl marks are back, right? Do you really want to deal with somebody like that?
And if you want to deal with them, just make it clear that there's going to be swirls and you can maybe discount the price so you can paint correct it once every 6 months to a year or something. And we have some clients that are like, I just love going through the car wash, but I also love the coating because it's still there. It's just not as powerful. And that's how they go about that.
100%. Yes. Yes.
That's
Oh,
a great
great question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do all of mine on the call. I can't text, I can't email. I just can't stand that. Like if you're texting me, oh my gosh, like I'm just so eager. When are you gonna respond? I'm ready to book you.
But what
I'm
what does
just
that look like? Are you doing almost all phone calls? Maybe some text or just all phone calls, no text and emails?
Yeah, so we're doing phone calls and then in-person consultations. So we have all of our clients, they'll come in for a consult in person, look over their vehicle, and then go from there. Excuse me, Weston, we'll follow up with text and call. But there's maybe 2 people to follow up with out of every 10. We're getting a hold of
Yeah.
all of them.
So like the main objective of that text, that follow-up, whether it's text or email, is for a phone call. When is the best time to call? When can you stop by our shop? We can explain the process, go into more detail, show you what we do, right? Or you can just send them that video where you're already outlining that. So that is a great way to build the value without all that back and forth, explaining your entire process, all the products you use, right? And then at the very end, them saying, oh, that's too expensive, right? Because how much value can you really build via text and email? It's just hard for them to really paint that picture. I mean, you can send them graphics of like, the different paint corrections, you can send them benefits of the coatings. The video is really where you can build that value in a very easy to understand way. They're seeing your face, they're seeing your shop, right? All of this stuff is just adding to your credibility and why they should pay more.
If anybody's picked up on what we've been up to this entire call of proactively, selling and proactively handling objections, the biggest thing is that if you have a video for your ads, you can handle all of the objections in one, and the clients that watch them can come into to your shop with no objections.
Yes,
You can handle
100%.
all the objections. Just create a script, make sure that you're following the script and following the psychology behind proactively selling, and then read that script off.
Yeah.
And every single objection will be handled.
And this is exactly what we as an agency, Detailers Growth, focus very heavily on, is because if we know that we can educate the person via video and get them to see the value in getting their car coded, all the awesome benefits that come with it, it makes your job so much easier when you're going to follow up with them. Because we've made that video, we set those expectations, we explain the process, the benefits, all that stuff, why they should go with you. So the ones who watch that and then submit their information, they're going to have a lot less questions. They're going to understand exactly what they're buying. They're going to see the value. And then now it just becomes a matter of pricing and scheduling. So think about that. You're putting all that information out there. You're educating them. They're going to be doing that research regardless of whether you put it out or not. But if you don't put it out, it's not going to be specific to your business and why they should go with you. They're still going to read blog articles, they're going to watch YouTube videos, but they're not going to be specific to your business or your service. So that's why we're very huge on making those educational videos. And maybe next call, we can go into more detail on exactly what that looks like, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't need to hire a videographer. Literally just pull this out, pull out your smartphone, take a selfie video, get a tripod, make it super simple, and just go through your process. And now you've built that value without them having to submit their information. You're putting it on YouTube, your Facebook page, your Instagram page. Boom. Now you can tie those follow-ups, those text and email follow-ups with the link to that video. Hey, thank you so much for inquiring. Here's a quick video that kind of goes through who we are, our process, everything you need to know. Let me know if you have any questions afterwards. Boom. Now, there's a lot less text and email follow-ups. You're not having to do crazy long threads. And more importantly, that person sees the value in going with you, even if you are more expensive compared to, some of your other competitors. So that's why I personally am very big on video education, because it's only worked. It almost cannot not work. Like if you're putting that information, you're giving them that information up front, they're going to see the value. They're going to see your process. You're going to come off more personable. You're going to build that trust over time. It only has a positive flywheel effect. So that's why we're big on video content. And we're not just preaching this as theory. Aaron himself has made those videos. He knows what the outcome is. Same with Patrice and a number of our clients, just why we're so big on videos. Weston asks, how do customer testimonials work? Yeah, Aaron, I think you do a good job of advertising your customer testimonials. What are some examples of how you can showcase your testimonials?
We do that just in retargeting campaigns, nothing special with like, you don't want to get main like leads. You don't want to get lead gen from that, because then they're not prepped on all of the proactiveness. You just don't want to do that. But with retargeting them, so after you get the lead in once, if they don't book with you, then you show them that information. You will want to show them that information.
And you can build all of that credibility and that value that I just mentioned in your text follow-ups, your email follow-ups, and in your advertising. So there's a number of ways to do that. we've seen clients where they've taken a photo of the client next to the finished vehicle with the review overlaid. Like, hey, this is the review that this specific client left. Here's his vehicle. Here's what it looks like after it's been coated. Boom. You just put that in a retargeting campaign. Super easy. With that being said, any more
Big
questions?
day today. Big day today.
Okay. I hope you guys found this useful. We will definitely be doing
will-
more of these. Yes. And
Yeah,
then,
more of these.
yeah, Aaron and I might be flying over to Aaron's here in a couple of weeks where we can kind of outline all of this training in a program. So if you guys think that would be useful, let us know. But, you know, as far as price, not sure, but we just want to see and make sure that we're aligning with how that program can help you guys directly, like tactical, implementable things that you could do right away for you guys to be able to close more coatings. Because that's what we're all
Yeah.
about.
If we can close
Cool.
more coatings, then you guys are going to the moon.
Yes, sir. Yes. All right, Aaron, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. I want to thank you all so much for making the time, showing up. And the next thing, here in a day or two, we'll send out the recording of this Zoom call via text and email. It might be a YouTube video link, but yeah, just be on the lookout for that. We'll probably do a post as well in the Orbis X group, just saying, hey, you know, check your email inbox, check your text inbox for that video recording. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, with that being said, Patrice, Aaron, thank you guys so much for doing that role play. I think it was super helpful for everybody. And everybody else, thank you all so much for making the time and coming. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, everybody. I hope you had fun and hope you learned a lot.
Peace.